a revolutionary new test for lung cancer is being trialled at Barnet Hospital. It could save patients from having to stay in hospital for several hours afterwards, freeing up beds and making the tests available for people who would have been turned down in the past. Research at Barnet Hospital has shown that most people who are undergoing tests for lung cancer could be treated as outpatients and go home 30 minutes after the procedure.
That is remarkable, isn't it?
It is.
Astonishing.
The man behind the technique, Dr. Sam Hare, Chief of Radiology at Barnet Hospital, joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So how does this technique, your technique, differ from the traditional method?
So if you take a lung biopsy, which is probably the most common way of diagnosing a potential lung cancer, which is usually identified when a patient has a CT scan, the old method would usually involve booking a hospital bed, the patient coming in, having their biopsy, and then going back to a proper hospital medical bed and being monitored for 4 to 6 hours before being given the go-ahead to go home. And the other main part of the old technique is if that patient were to develop a collapsed lung, something we call a pneumothorax in medical terms, after their lung biopsy, which is a relatively frequent complication, they would end up staying in hospital for, on average, 24 to 48 hours with a large drain in their chest to try and reinflate that lung.
So what are you doing?
I was going to say, Sam, we should bike the Nobel Prize around to you right now from the sound of that.
I don't know about that, Paul.
What are you doing then?
So what we've done is adopted a technique I learnt when I extended my radiology training in Canada for a year, where we bring the patients in and we don't book a bed. So our process is independent of any bed crisis in a hospital, meaning that, for example, patients often can get their biopsies cancelled if there's no bed available in wintertime, for example, when hospitals are full. So our process eliminates that because we're not dependent on a bed. So
but what is the process?
So the patient will come into the radiology department, have their biopsy, have a needle stuck inside their lung, similar to previously. We'll keep them in our radiology department. We'll do a chest X-ray at 30 minutes. And as long as that shows no collapsed lung, our study, which we piloted recently, shows that it's safe to send them home at that stage. Should they get a lung collapse, which is affecting them, for example, they become breathless or they have some pain, we connect them up to a very small, discrete device called a Heimlich valve, which has been around for a number of years but never been used in this country with lung biopsy. And this valve works by providing a one-way mechanism, which means that air can go out of the lung, but it can't go back into the chest, meaning that the collapsed lung can be corrected. And crucially, it can be corrected at home with the device hidden under the patient's clothes so nobody even knows, what's going on.
And might this be rolled out nationally eventually, Sam, do we think?
That's our hope. So I think we've piloted this study in the NHS. We've shown and provided compelling evidence that this could work. In our local community at Barnet Hospital, we've done 489 biopsies in the last 4 years like this. And I think the next steps are to try and roll this out through London and region by region. And if we could achieve that, I think we would exponentially increase the numbers of patients going through a lung biopsy, meaning theoretically we're going to start diagnosing lung cancer much earlier.
Dr. Sam Hare, thank you so much for talking to us this morning, freeing up beds in Barnet and moving along medicine.
That does sound remarkable, because I've had biopsies. I had kind of throat problems in the 80s. I had viral papilloma. I think
You
I
told
said
us
in the week.
that.
But they used to do the biopsy, and actually you would need a local anaesthetic for that. And that was, and the lung, of course, is far more inside the body. So to actually take up a hospital bed and now not to need to is a remarkable breakthrough.
Not to need a drain for hours and hours.